Hello students. So today we are going to start with the fourth chapter, that is metals and non-metals. Now, first of all, we need to know what do you mean by an element? A substance which cannot be broken down into two simpler substances by chemical reactions is called an element. For example, iron is an element because it cannot be broken down into two or more simpler substances by the usual methods of carrying out chemical reactions such as by applying heat, light or electricity. Now there are many different elements like hydrogen, helium, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur, phosphorus, silicon, chlorine, etc. And overall there are only 92 naturally occurring elements known to us at present. Now on the basis of the properties, all the elements can be divided into two main groups, metals and non-metals. Iron, copper and aluminium are examples of metals, whereas copper, oxygen and sulfur are examples of non-metals. So, you are familiar with the number of materials like iron, aluminium, copper, etc. Can you name the materials which are metals? Metals can be distinguished from non-metals on the basis of their physical and chemical properties. You know that the shape of the iron nail and the aluminium wire changed on beating. If they were beaten harder, these could have been changed into sheets. You might be familiar with silver foil used for decorating sweets. You must also be familiar with the aluminium foil used for wrapping food. The property of metals by which they can be beaten into thin sheets are called malleability. This is a characteristic property of metals. As you must have noticed, materials like coal and pencil lead do not show this property. You can perform the following activity. Take a small iron nail, a coal piece, a piece of thick aluminium wire and a pencil lead. Beat the iron nail with a hammer. But take care that you don't hurt yourself in the process. Try to hit hard. Hit hard also the aluminium wire. Then repeat the same kind of treatment on the coal piece and pencil lead. Now you can record your observations. So the observations are, you saw that the shape of the iron nail and the aluminium wire changed on beating. If they were beaten harder, this could be changed into sheets. You might be familiar with silver foil used for decorating sweets. You must also be familiar with the aluminium foil used for wrapping food. The property of metals by which they can be beaten into thin sheets is called malleability. We have already discussed this. And it is the characteristic property of metals. Now next property is conductivity. Can you hold a hot metallic pan which is without a plastic or a wooden handle and not get hurt? Perhaps not. Why? Try to list some other experiences in which a wooden or plastic handle protects you from being hurt while handling hot things. On the basis of these experiences, what can you say about the conduction of heat by wood and plastic? You must have seen an electrician using his screwdriver. What kind of handle does it have? Why? Let's find out. Now you know how to make an electric circuit to test whether electricity can pass through an object or not. You might have performed the activity with various objects. Now repeat the activity with the materials. Now you observe that the iron rod, nail and copper wire are good conductors, while rolled sulfur piece and coal piece are poor conductors. Through this, we can come to know that which of the metals are poor conductors and which are good conductors. Now next is ductility. Where do you find the use of aluminium and copper wires? Have you seen wires of coal? Definitely not. The property of metal by which it can be drawn into wires is called ductility. Then next is sonorousness. The things made up of metals produce ringing sound when struck hard, like for example the school bell. Since metal produce ringing sounds, they are said to be sonorous. Now, after performing the above activities, we can say that some materials are hard, lustrous, malleable, ductile, sonorous, and good conductors of heat and electricity. The materials which generally possesses these properties are called metals. The examples of metals are iron, copper, aluminium, calcium, magnesium, etc. In contrast, materials like coal and sulfur are soft and dull in appearance. They break down into powdery mass on tapping with hammer. They are not sonorous and are poor conductors of heat and electricity. These materials are called non-metals. The examples of non-metals are sulfur, carbon, oxygen, phosphorus, etc.